Okay. Good evening, doctors, ladies and gentlemen. We begin this meeting, this session by the Academy of Family Physicians of India, Continuing Professional Development Group, and the title is about Entrepreneurship by Family Physicians. So we have a list of speakers, eminent speakers, Dr. Raman Kumar, who's the president of the Academy of Family Physicians of India, Colonel Mohan Kubandra, who's the vice president, Dr. Roshni Jhan Ganguly, who's the secretary of the CPD group, Dr. Kiranmai, who's from Hyderabad, and Dr. Gowhar, Wagai from Kashmir, and myself, Kamlesh, Bhargava. I'm based in Canada. So with that brief introduction, now the focus here today is at the end of this, we aim to that each participant will be able to recognize challenges and solutions to be a successful doctor, entrepreneur. Develop a plan, assess the strengths and weaknesses of their practice if they are into independent practice, and make a career choice. Now, all the speakers are family physicians and they are running their own clinics. I don't think anybody has inherited any clinic, self-made entrepreneurs. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Kiran to take over the mic. Dr. Kiran, let me introduce you to her. Dr. Kiranmai graduated from Gandhi Medical College, Hyderabad in 2003. After completion of her graduation, she moved to UK, where she did her postgraduate training in general practice and awarded the MRCGP in 2011, 10 years back. Following her post-graduation, she pursued a 2-year PG diploma course in diabetes and passed out with distinction. Congratulations, Dr. Kiran. And during her practice in UK, she has been a tutor for undergraduate medical students and involved in teaching, training, and assessments, and also was an examiner for general practice training program recruitment, which is conducted in the OSCE format. And she has worked for 12 years in UK and 18 years in India. So she has got a depth of and wealth of knowledge. So she runs her own family clinic, Kale Health Center in Hyderabad, Telangana. So over to you, Dr. Kiran.
Thank you, Dr. Kamlesh, for the kind info. As usual, it's always a pleasure working with all of you. So my topic, I chose the simple thing, setting up a private practice as being a doc entrepreneur. So I thought maybe we can talk about the basics of how to kind of start off with the practice. So the main objectives for the session, I thought, will be this audience will be knowing by end of the session the requirements of setting up a private practice, the permissions required, and the challenges that are encountered, micromanagement of a practice, and collaboration with allied professionals, and dealing with your finances and auditing. Next. So that's my clinic pictures. That's the consultation room, and that's the waiting area. That's an additional waiting area there. Next slide, sir. So why a private practice? So what are the pros and cons? Why did I choose to kind of start up my own practice? The reason being more independence, flexibility, and also ability to kind of do multiple job roles, such as I can be an entrepreneur, I can do my practice my profession, I can probably engage in running a pharmacy, conducting lab tests. So all these kind of things are multiple job roles, what I mean by that. And kind of running a successful business model, which can lead to expansion of the services. However, the cons or the downsides are the financial crunch that can be experienced at start of practice. I don't think everybody is so lucky that they are going to just start off with flying colors. So please be patient, and especially with the pandemic and other situations. So I myself, I'm an example. It's been 1.5 years and it's always Corona pandemic. So I'm still getting on with my practice. So there can be lack of interprofessional support, unlike hospitals, and there is lack of multidisciplinary approach. These are the cons with the private practice. Next one, sir. So what are the requirements when you are kind of you made a you kind of finalize the location, then what? So what do you want to do? So application, the first thing I had to kind of look into is, do I need to kind of get a medical registration? Who do I kind of take permission from? So there was an application to the DMH. DMH is Directorate of Medical and Health. So which can be submitted at your closest Seva center. And then you have to kind of get a service certificate from a bio-waste collection service. After you get a bio-waste collection service granted, then you have to get a PCP clearance, which is a pollution control board. Apparently, how much ever, even if it is a small clinic with no beds, you still need to get a fire NOC and a pollution control clearance. So the the challenges and hurdles. So with the challenges and hurdles, I mean, there could be a lot of other things. Whilst we start the practice, there will be inspection of the premises for a temporary registration. And once, if there are any problems they find, for me, I think it's display of my qualifications. That's the thing that was not displayed in the clinic. So they had granted me a temporary registration initially, followed by 6 months later, they did a inspection for permanent registration. I just got the certificate for permanent registration 1 year later after the inspection. That is the state of our medical health. So proper rental agreement, lease agreement is crucial. You need to get a municipal permission for board display. You have to think about marketing your practice. However, there are ethical dilemmas on how much you can practice. You have to practice, market yourself. What are the issues in that, and maintaining the patient records. However, there will be concerns again regarding the confidentiality of the patient. Next slide, sir. So after challenges and hurdles, it's the micromanagement. So once I set up the practice, I got all these permissions done. So what else? So I'm happy I started my practice, but it doesn't end there. The patients come, so they expect a cleanly practice. So the premises cleanliness, hygiene, bio-waste management, staff maintenance, adequate and relevant distribution of the work. So you should train your staff adequately, properly as well. So training for simple procedures, phlebotomy, wound care, supervision, and so forth. And managing the patient appointments. The other thing is collaboration with allied health professionals. This helps you to not to be alone in the practice and kind of give you a multidisciplinary role approach with either with a pharmacist, a physiotherapist, acupuncture, dietitian, or other doctors from different specialties, and a lab or a blood collection services. So there should be a system to keep a record of your income, especially when you're coming to finance and auditing. Definitely, you need to know how much income you're getting from each doctor. And if it is a polyclinic, make sure you kind of maintain the income records of each doctor practicing in the clinic, and audit your income and also audit your expenses. Make sure you keep receipts of the bills and the purchases and any receipts to the patients. All those things should be maintained. And obviously a CA for advice on your payments and benefits, and be regular with your tax payments so as to avoid any other issues. So that's in a nutshell. I think we are done, I suppose. So in conclusion, I think we are trained as independent practitioners, and more family practice clinics should be popping up in our respective neighborhoods. And it may seem as a burden setting up a practice, but sticking onto it will reap benefits in future, as I think our patients really love us. So there's a scope for more entrepreneurial roles and expansion. And let's begin the chain for a better primary care in India. Thank you. I think I'll hand over to Dr. Kamlesh.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Kiran. Now, some housekeeping rules. One is people can post their questions into the chat box. Of course, when you had registered, you had posted your questions, and I do have a list of all the questions. So we'll take the questions after all the speakers have done, and all the speakers can give their answers on the same question because their experiences and wisdom will differ, and you can pick and choose. Thank you very much, Dr. Kiran, with a very brief and short overview of all that entails. And each step takes months, weeks, months, or maybe something like the permission that has taken you in here. So that's good. So the next speaker is Dr. Roshni Jhan Ganguly. Now, Dr. Roshni recently got her fellowship of the Royal College of General Practitioners. And she's also an international examiner of the MRCGP, South Asia Group. And she graduated from the BP Koirala Institute of Health Sciences in Nepal. And she has done her postgraduate diploma in geriatric medicine from IGNOU. Currently, she's serving in the community through her private practice, Aswin's Care, for the past 3 years. She's in Bengaluru. She's also the secretary of the AFPI CPD and executive member of the AFPI Karnataka group. Her other interests are serving the underprivileged rural population to fulfill the wish of which she founded Project Setu. So over to you, Dr. Roshni.
Thank you, sir, for the introduction.
So do you want to share your screen or?
Yeah, I think I am sharing my screen. Is everybody able to see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it was quite a good overview given by Dr. Kiran. She practically covered each and every point, whatever is required to start a practice. So here, today I am here to take you through a little of my journey, as well as discuss and understand some other steps that why is this entrepreneurship important for us family physicians particularly, and what is the difference that we can make to the society if we become entrepreneurs. So beginning with this first slide, which says that why do we need more family physicians as entrepreneurs? Now, if we analyze that the patient-physician relationship had lost sight till there was a rise of the family physicians. It was most of it was hospital-based. The connect between the patient and the physician was barely there till the generation of family physicians rose to the occasion. Yes, we had our good old family physicians before, but in the interim period, we had lost touch and contact. Now, as we know that family physicians, they come with certain traits, and they come with a mindset of problem solving. And if we see entrepreneurs separately, they too play a huge role in the society to solve simple problems. So here we have a merge of both, and how we as family physicians can make a difference to the society, not only because we are equipped with our, the integral skills and something that we learn in our medical college, but we also come with good communication skills. We deal with uncertainty. So we are well versed to become entrepreneurs and hence serve the society. We also have simple solutions and freedom to pivot and change our decisions as per the climate, as the climate dictates. And that is the freedom that you get when you become family physicians and entrepreneurs, so that the requirement of your community that you're serving can be fulfilled. Now, if we change the question and we look at a different angle, that why do family physicians need to become entrepreneurs? Now, for us, why is it important? Now, we know that, after our post-graduation or in the initial days, yes, we are in hospital setup. We are in the boundaries of, or in the, although we have a particular salary, there is guaranteed success, and, there is no other additional responsibility that we have to take. It's just part of the routine that we go on with. But here is an opportunity that if we become entrepreneurs, we have the scope to become more creative. It gives us more work fulfillment because we can really experiment. We can really try out different things to ensure that it gives us a good work-life balance, as well as it gives a satisfaction to serve the community. And particularly, our kind of business adds value and character to the community, is what I would like to stress on. Now, these are pictures of my 2 clinics, and I must mention that I started with a clinic in Yemlur, very close to my residence, and that is the picture on the right that you can see, and that clinic is about going to be 3 years old. And in this pandemic, with the Almighty's blessings, I have been able to open my second branch, which is in Whitefield, which is the one on the left-hand side, and this is the picture of the Whitefield clinic. And so what I want to highlight here is that even in a time where we were facing many challenges, dealing with a lot of uncertainty, there is still scope of expanding. There is still scope of doing a lot, but at the same time in a very, very ethical way. Yeah. So these are some of the pictures of my clinic. So this is my Yemlur clinic with the pharmacy. Of course, the pharmacy doesn't belong to me. I have given it to a person who required it, and he operates and functions it from his end. Now, this is the inside of my chamber, which is in the Yemlur clinic. Now, 7 inbuilt attributes that we are already blessed with. Now, family physicians usually have good tenacity. They know how to deal with, in different situations. So that is a huge boon when you want to be an entrepreneur. The commitment to continuous professional development and learning, that is also there. Passion for discovery. It's always, we try to find out that, why did this happen for this particular patient, and how can we join the dots to come to a conclusion. So that is an inbuilt attribute which is there, which is going to help us become entrepreneurs. We have the desire to make a difference. All of us are ambitious in different ways, and we want to experiment, and we want to see how we can serve the community, how we can serve our people better. Interpersonal skills, again, as Dr. Kiran was mentioning, it's very important that we have different services, as well as we have to deal with different specialities. We have to keep a good rapport with the hospital practitioners so that the whole ecosystem of the healthcare works smoothly, and we are at the pivotal role, and we are the cogwheel of this whole healthcare system. Pattern recognition, as we have discussed already, and dealing with uncertainty. So today, being an entrepreneur and a family physician, we don't know what's coming in tomorrow. Today may be a very good day for us in terms of serving the community, in terms of earning our money, but tomorrow it may not be the same. No 2 days are same. So we are well prepared to deal, and hence I think we should all become entrepreneurs to make that difference. Now, operation of the clinic, certain important things that I would like to highlight here, important components, that as Dr. Kiran has already mentioned, that we have some set processes. We should have the audits. We should have structured operative processes, simple ones, which you and your staff and your whole team can operate on. So it's very important that we track and observe. Online appointment in today's world after COVID, I think it has got its value. We have learned a lot. We have developed skills, and that should be definitely utilized. Technology in terms of not only booking appointments, having your website, having a marketing team. It's not a big marketing budget that you have to have, but simple things, social media presence can be easily done. Another important factor is holding staff meetings and team meetings. A small huddle at the beginning of your day can really take off well, and you plan your day, you set targets, You set operational targets, you set your own personal developmental targets and financial targets. So you're on the same boat and everybody is motivated to start the day well. Intake forms definitely help. And now that we have EMR and we have quite a robust backup of all the data, but of course that comes with a pinch of salt. With so many people intruding and the data hacking, we need to be careful, and I think we'll discuss that later. An inventory and checklist for your regular consumables, your vaccines, your medications is of utmost importance. So if we can follow these 6 things, I'm sure we're going to emerge successful, and we are going to have a smooth functioning of the clinics and expand.
Dr. Roshni, 1 minute more.
Yeah. So another important topic is that you need to have disruption in your practice. You need to look at something new. So different areas, as we know that that sickness, yes, is part of it, that when people will fall sick and they come to you, but there is also the other part where you have chronic medical illnesses, you have wellness checkups, you have preventive medicine where you can showcase disruptive practice and invent, and you can have different plans and programs for passive income, for active income. You engage your staff. So these are some of the methods that I wanted to showcase over here. This I liked because of the big word here is integrity, team members, teamwork, and each and every word here is very important. And with Sir's song in the beginning, I remember the lines of Rabindranath Tagore saying, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. And with that, I would specifically want to mention that if we take the ethical approach, there is still a lot of scope to earn and do well. Few pearls, and the last bit of it that I would like to discuss here is that it is important that you invest in yourself. Invest in yourself not only to keep your learning going, but also to learn new skills. Because in today's world, it is important that we have some other skills. If you're not very well versed with finances, if you're not very well versed with marketing, then you do take, invest time to learn it so that you can lead your team. Invest in your team members to show them a well-defined career path, because it is then only that they're going to stick to you if they see that they have a roadmap in front of them, right? Incentives, yes, is good to keep your nursing staff motivated, as well as keep them trained and allow them to do different courses and have certain targets. Team bonding, as we discussed, team meetings and feedback, of course, in today's world has a huge role to play. Although the best marketing technique that I have realized till date is still the word of mouth, but we do need to showcase ourselves. So it is important that we have feedback and so that we can showcase. Last slide. This, of course, can generate a lot of debate, and this is a very generalized comment, but I would still like to, mention this, that, kickbacks and cuts and commissions, I think as family physicians, we can still do a very good job without accepting it, so that we can hold our head high up and, serve the society and not really bend down to accept all this. And another thought of wisdom that I would like to say is, please don't go overboard with your overheads. Infrastructure and your overhead expenditure, that is a learning that I have seen in my past, that keep it to the bare minimum. Every one of us have decent clinics, decent infrastructure, but don't go overboard with it, because that can cause problems later on. So with this thought, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Roshni. That was a wonderful presentation. Again, pearls of wisdom from personal experiences. And it's creditable that within a period of 3 years, you have opened 2 clinics from a scratch. And in this time of COVID also, that is sort of inspirational and people can learn. I like the slide about disruption and innovation using time as a tool to diagnose and be patient with yourself and not to take kickbacks. And we might dwell further on those, that how can you generate more income so that you don't have to resort to these unethical practices. So with that, I would like to invite Colonel Mohan for his presentation. Dr. Mohan, I'll introduce, everybody knows Dr. Mohan, but again, for the sake, Colonel Mohan served the armed forces passionately for over 2 decades and quit the service to realize a dream of providing quality healthcare that is accessible and affordable to all sections of society. He is the founder director of Spandana Healthcare, a chain of family practice centers located at the suburb of Bangalore. He has a master's degree in family medicine, DNB, diabetes management, hospital administration, and qualified in aviation medicine. He is the founder president of Academy of Family Physicians of India, AFPI Karnataka chapter, and presently holds the appointment of vice president of AFPI National Executive. He has been involved very actively in home management of COVID-19 patients and has treated more than 1,250 patients over the last year. A round of applause. An avid golfer and a singer who engages in charitable social service as much as he could. So we have a diversified personality here who will enrich the session, and we would love to hear the wisdom gained through your experiences. Over to you, Dr. Mohan. You can share your screen.
I've shared already.
Yeah.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, please.
Is the screen visible?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Thanks, Dr. Kamlesh, for this invite and the kind introduction. Firstly, I have not prepared. I unfortunately couldn't get time to prepare specifically for this presentation. So whatever I speak will be straight from my heart. So I hope you will be benefited from whatever I shared today. The learning objective for my presentation is basically to see how we can navigate through the lean seasons and how we can adapt to the changing needs of the community as a family practitioner. It's very relevant because we all have gone through the lean season in the last 1 year due to this unprecedented pandemic. Before that, let me take you through a small journey of my journey over the last 7 years as a, you would call it as a physician, entrepreneur, or family practitioner. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I always make this statement whenever I address the young doctors who aspire to start practice. My work may not be as impressive as the the physician entrepreneurs, or even many of the panelists here have done a wonderful job as practitioners and entrepreneurs. But I'm pretty certain and hopeful that it might inspire many of you, because what I've done over the last 7 years is very simple. It can be aspired and achieved by most of you, by all the young doctors who are wanting to establish practice. Probably that will inspire you, or that would encourage you. I've always adopted very simple principles to succeed as an entrepreneur or a practitioner. When I took a premature retirement from armed forces, there were multiple reasons for taking the premature retirement, but as far as my career was concerned, only thing I wanted to do was to establish my own practice, a family medicine practice. I could have easily walked into any hospital with my forces experience, but I never wanted to do that, as I was looking for a career which is gratifying, gives me independence, and it gives me the independence of putting what I've learned over the years into practice, and gives me also some time to pursue my hobbies, and most importantly, some time to spare for the activities of own fraternity. So that's why I'm in AFPI. So all these things actually sums up the essence of family practice, the essence of being a family physician entrepreneur. You can't do all these things in any other career for a family physician. In 7 years, I've established 4 clinics in 7 years, I've established 4 clinics. Firstly, I established my primary clinic where I want to continue my practice till my retirement, my second retirement, I would say. There I invested some money, started not much. I'll tell you later on how much you require when we discuss about what are the investment required for establishing clinics. That's not part of the presentation. And then I started small ancillary clinics. Wherever there was a business opportunity, I started looking out for that. It was not in my scheme of plan actually, but the opportunities came and I thought, let me explore this and see how it works. So I was mostly breaking even in these clinics right from the beginning because I had not invested much, and and there was already infrastructure. So break even was not an issue. One of these was in a gated community. It gave me exposure to wide kind of the community and the services. One of this was in a assisted living facility for senior commune. One was within a gated community. So like this, I had small chain of clinics which are established in within about 3 to 4 years of time. In my experience, I feel there is an ample opportunity to establish your practice and grow as an entrepreneur. Just don't get intrigued by this fancy term entrepreneurship, doc entrepreneur, physician entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship, in my understanding, is nothing but simply it is just the willingness to start a new business. You can be an entrepreneur irrespective of the scale of your practice. Even a standalone clinic gives ample scope for growing as an entrepreneur. Challenge is not to establish a clinic and to make it profitable. That's not a big challenge actually, but the challenge is to gather the courage and willingness to start one. So these are some of the images of my clinics. This is my secondary clinic. This is my chamber. This is my primary clinic. I have a pharmacy, my own pharmacy in one of the clinics that is in my primary clinic. So my wife is a dentist, so it adds value and scope of service. Such, I have my own small lab because I do practice chronic health management, diabetes management. So I have a small thing. And this is one of the clinics which I had established in a senior commune in association with the Sri Senior Homes. There are about 500 families expected in due course, but right now there are about 100 families. So very small setup where we have kept a nurse. And I go once in a month, twice a month. So the primary objective is basically how to get over the lean season. So let us see what are the reasons for the lean season. Well, friends, in my opinion, there is nothing like lean season in general practice. Each season, in fact, throws a new opportunity. A classic example is this unprecedented, unexpected pandemic. If you see in the first wave, it was quite the lockdown was imposed unexpectedly, and suddenly there was no inflow to the clinic, and we were all most of us didn't know how to make up for the running of the clinics. In fact, many people closed their clinics because it went on even after lockdown was lifted. People were not comfortable visiting the clinics. And just see how we all have adapted to this change and how things have changed in the second wave. I think in the second wave was one of the busiest time in our practice. At least in my case, I was at the busiest period in my life, I would say, in the last 2 months. And we could easily make up for whatever we had lost in that first wave period. But also during the first wave, we did certain things. I'll discuss about this maybe during the question and answer session or when we have time. So what are the possible reasons for a lean season? The first thing is seasonal variations. This is not in our control, but I don't think it will have a major impact on your revenues unless you are relying too much on acute care, which is definitely seasonal and often unpredictable, and also over dependence on income from consultations. No matter how many consultations you do per day, I don't think your consultations can sustain the revenue generation and sustenance of your practice from the business perspective. So you have to have other services running simultaneously. And also another reason, in my opinion, is underutilization of the skills and facilities. Even in small clinics, we can do a lot of things, but we generally don't utilize those facilities, and we don't practice so many skills in small clinics. I think that is one area which could be a contributor for the lean season effects. Focus on sickness and not on wellness. So this is another thing we must think and invest on. The more healthy people visiting your clinic, I think will do better for your clinic from the business perspective. Not marketing services during busy period. So we are so involved in our services during when you are busy that we generally forget about marketing the gains during that busy period. You must utilize this period to market your services. And also being reactive rather than proactive. So one has to be very proactive, anticipate things, and when it comes, you should be well prepared to adopt those changes. But also reactive approach also is not bad. The way sometimes it is required to be very reactive and suddenly change gears. So
1 minute more,
so
Doctor.
how can we? Pardon?
1 minute more.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take 2 minutes probably, with your permission. How to navigate through the lean period? The most important thing is you should not panic. Okay, try to adapt to the changes quickly. Be prepared for the change. Like if you are proactive, you would have already prepared that you expect, because you are already gone through the seasonal variations, and also you should be well prepared. And like the way we did in during the lockdown period, during the pandemic. So we suddenly switched to the technology-driven services like the video consultations, home consultations. In fact, we did a lot of things innovatively for the managing the COVID patients, like the COVID home care services, home care kits. Then we got into even there was an opportunity for doing RT-PCR. So many of us provided our space for taking the swabs, which gave us some source of revenues. And also please use this time to build a brand. I think Raman is going to talk about the technical aspects of how to build a brand. What we are trying to say is that be in touch with your patients all the time. Establish a bond with the existing patients. These are the people who are going to be with you during the lean seasons. Like I did create a database of all my patients. I saved. People are very hesitant to share the numbers with your patients. But if you train your patients, you can share your numbers, and they will not disturb you. And there are ways and means. Probably we'll discuss it later on. So I created the broadcast through which I used to be in constant communication with doctors. And this was a time when every family wanted to be in touch with the doctor all the time, and they wanted the guidance. So with these kind of the broadcasts and creating the patient groups, close patient groups, you could save time. At the same time, you can be in touch with your patients through constantly educating them and answering to the queries in a group instead of because the queries will be generally of common nature. So try to establish a bond with your patients. Don't hesitate to share your numbers. You can train your patients. And the best tool to get over the lean period is to increase the scope of your practice, which has already been covered by both the speakers. Have as many services as you can running in your clinic: phlebotomy services, pharmacy, physiotherapy, vaccination, home visits, diet counseling, chronic care, geriatric care. Let me tell you, I have not listed any service which I have not used in my clinic. All this, including industrial health, school health. I have been a company doctor for one of the corporate companies. I have been associated with school health, and I have been many of us, I'm not saying me, most of us are the panelists, health advisors to companies and NGOs. So this not only gives an opportunity to market your thing, but also it might serve as a kind of source of income during the lean period. And these things will not have the impact on your seasonal variations. I think Dr. Kamlesh is staring at me. Okay,
Yes.
we can discuss it later on. So I think I'll end my presentation. In conclusion, I think the major reason for lean period in family practice is too much reliance on acute care, which is seasonal and often unpredictable. And the most important to do to survive the lean season is to increase the scope of your practice and be prepared for the change. Thank you.
So,
over to Dr. Kamlesh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohan. And I'm glad you saw me looking at you from miles and miles away. Excellent. So that is perception. That's how things happen. Okay, that was a very good presentation. And of course, every presenter is just talking about the tip of the iceberg. The time is very limited. We have tried to keep as much time as possible for the question answers, so you can ask personal questions and let's see how many we can answer. Again, the message here is during the lean period, think, develop your skills, be innovative, something like starting a broadcast, find out what your patients need, excellent things. And once you are thrown into the deep end, you'll start learning how to swim. And congratulations to Dr. Mohan. He has got 4 weeks and he broke even in the beginning. So with that, let's move over to Dr. Gowhar Ahmad Wagai. Now, Dr. Gowhar Ahmad Wagai is from Anantnag, Kashmir. So far we have been mostly in the southern part of India. Now we go to the tip, to Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir. So Dr. Gowhar is an MD, postgraduate postgraduate diploma in family medicine, postgraduate diploma in clinical endocrinology and diabetes, fellowship in diabetes management from CMC Vellore. He is the president of the AFPI Jammu and Kashmir. He's also presently working as a senior resident Department of Medicine Associated Hospitals, GMC, Anantnag. So he has got a job as well as doing his independent practice. And he's a life member of the American Diabetes Association. He's very passionate about diabetes and a lot of things which he will tell you what he's doing. And this is inspirational how he has developed himself. So over to you, Dr. Gowhar. And you want me to change the slides for you? Dr. Gowhar, are you there?
Dr. Gowhar, your mic is on mute.
Yes,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Thank you, Dr. Kamlesh. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me, please?
We can hear you, Dr. Gowhar. Just tell me when to change the slides.
Okay. I am Dr. Gowher, presenting you from Kashmir, and my topic is private medical practice in Kashmir and total promotions. So I have established my clinic in the year of 2018 with the name of Al Gowhar. Actually, this is translation of my name, Gowhar. So I used it as Al Gowhar. So these are the pictures of my clinic. The first picture entrance of my clinic. So next, please. Yes. So I started my clinic in the 2018. I have started as practitioner. So I started practice as a diabetologist. So later on, right now I have multiple doctors like facilities available with me. It's gynecologist, I have radiologist, neuropsychiatrist, sonologist is with us. So next, please. So what we need is optimizing time, space, and facilities. So that's already I have established it. Specific time of the doctors that they use it to come to my public, and these are the two slides. So next. Yes. Can you hear me, sir?
We can hear you. Probably the connection
Okay.
is not very good. It's moving slowly for you, but we can see the slides. Dr.
So
Mohan,
all
can
the
you see
time it is
this?
happening in Kashmir. So these are the pictures of my colleague where I have a space pair. These are the patient registration picture and inside the clinic. This is my pharmacy here. This is my own pharmacy here, namely medicine pharma. So what we need for the marketing, we need some articles, word of mouth. So we need to create some website. We need so YouTube. We have a lot of social media like Facebook, Twitter, where we can post our skills, whatever you share with your, you can share your content for patients like where you do some activities like CME and some other activities, so you can share to us. So especially if we talk about the marketing professionals, so professional responsibility, we need important values to consider, such as honesty, transparency. How to set up your fee step by step. So be relaxed to find out what others are charging in your area. So calculate what you need to survive. So know why you are charged and what you are charging. So create a financial policy for your practice. So do's and don'ts. So do make exceptions. To practice your sessions fee, which don't keep the same pace indefinitely. Don't make promises you can't keep. The distance between your dreams and reality is called a discipline. Special tips I can share with you. So be patient with your patients. Value yourself, charging family and friends. Be open to criticism and compliments. Learn to say no. Keep your clinic updated with some education, health education posters. Whenever your patient used to come to your clinic, that he can have a look on some health education posters in your local language. Better to have in your local language. Sorry, it's interrupting here again. I cannot okay, so patient-centered care, be a good listener, so address mood, ideas, concern, expectations, so positivity, boost immunity. Plant the seed and keep patients to eat the fruit. The day you plant the seed is not the day to eat the fruit.
Okay. So thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Gowhar. Yes, the sound was a little bit disturbed. Probably your internet connection was not that good. And that's what the rest of us in the country need to realize, that how things are there. And despite all these challenges, Dr. Gowhar, you are doing an excellent job. You have a multifaceted clinic, and I think you established in 2018 again. Can you hear me, Dr. Gowhar? Okay. So with that, thank you very much. Now let us go over to the next speaker, and that is our showstopper, Dr. Raman. Everybody knows Dr. Raman, who's the president of the AFPI. He's the lead physician of Doc24 clinics. So he has also set up a chain of clinics in Delhi, Noida. And he's the president of the AFPI, editor of the Journal of Family Medicine and Primary Care. Recently, he completed publishing his 100th paper. And he's also the president of the WONCA, World Organization of Family Doctors, South Asia. So over to you, Dr. Raman. You have your slides to share?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I'll stop share. Now you can share your screen.
Right, sir. I'll just share my screens, and really indeed nice listening to all colleagues and their stories. I also have my journal as professional. I was working in Delhi government at Institute of Liver and Biliary Sciences as in charge emergency for many years. And to begin with, we must understand, what do we mean by entrepreneurship, and what does it mean to be professional? So we are professionals because we have license to practice, we have option to do job service, and when we start our clinic, we start as independent professional, which is the status of self-employment. And if you do additional work, which is not directly related to your own profession, that may be called business. And there is difference between conventional business and entrepreneurship. So while we may like to call opening a clinic, it is still, I would consider, a conventional business in that term. Am I audible?
Loud and clear.
So starting a clinic, as I discuss my own journey, you'll see where I stand in this hierarchy of professional, job, service, self-employment, a small business versus entrepreneurship, and what is the difference like. So I established this clinic, this thought. I was working in hospital till 2018. And then I decided to resign. It was long years working, and then I was not comfortable with working in hospital because I was myself working with advocacy of family medicine. I also had previous experience of entrepreneurship, establishing, for example, I consider one of the most successful things, although non-profit, is AFPI itself. So right from establishing, conceiving, creating logos to structure of AFPI, it is one of my non-profits initiatives, which but gradually I understood that I need to work on my own independent or financial independence, which can come through only through self-employment, and if in due course it can become bigger. So this is called Doc24. You can see the logo. Logo contains home. Wi-Fi is the sign of technology, and DOC is Doctor on Call 24. 24 is 24/7. So these are all the meaning contained. See, it was before thought, and I work on these clinics, and these are the components of the clinics: outpatient, pharmacy, diagnostic lab, and home care. And how do I organize these services? I'll discuss, and why do I do it? I'll try to cover in the short time. So this is the logo: smart healthcare for smart cities. So because I was living in high-rise societies, the area I was serving, the community I was serving, was all high-rise apartment societies of Delhi NCR. So that was my thought of amalgamating this concept which is primarily based on family practice. So this is again the same things, the components of care, and we do it through a company, private limited company. Why do we need a company? Because for legal reasons, you need to create entity. Entity is financially independent from our own legal entities. So we founded a company in 2016. So I left job in 2018. So before that, in 2016, immediately after organizing the second national conference of family medicine primary care, uh, we created this company, Doc24 Wellness Private Limited, and we started first clinic, which was which is still located in Crossing Republic, Ghaziabad, in 2017. And second one we started in 2018 in Gowhar city, which is in Noida Extension. These two areas are in very close proximity, approximately 3 kilometers apart, and it is a new residential area. So this is the opportunity, because in Delhi it was all oversaturated with hospitals and healthcare providers. So this is a brief journey. 2016 foundation, 17 first clinic. We started clinic and home care. Second clinic with SRL franchise. So for lab, we opted for a full franchise of a established brand or lab service, because that is what was required in this area in my understanding, because having a lab or pharmacy to support your practice is not enough, because your practice in itself becomes a limiting factor in growth of the overall practice. And practice is not just our own consultation, but organizing services what the community requires. So in our community, requirement was of pharmacy, was of lab, was of family doctor, physiotherapist, and all such home care, uh, healthcare. And then in 2020 we started, we added clinics in the same premises. So both our clinics have independent pharmacies, licensed pharmacies, and these are run by the qualified pharmacist. And the clinic, uh, the franchise, and the pharmacy are owned by the company which I am director with, along with my wife. And within this ambit of things, because to have a growth impetus, because unless there is uh, intellectual development within the system, it cannot grow into bigger. So I have established an institute of family medicine and primary care within this company of Doc24 Wellness Private Limited, and it is basically to take forward, convert the experience into research activities or research data, or data which is of having useful insights for future. And we also have established patient information center, which we are creating multiple digital platforms for different diseases, which I will develop later. Discuss later. So this is basically community-based primary care, pre-hospital care model, where we have digital remote monitoring, community clinics, home care, and app-based care. We are also working on app and digital platforms, which is part of it. So this is the community, what it looks like. This is the Noida extension part, which is located within Greater Noida district, and this is what it looks like. And my one of the clinics is located in this area and market, and this is how it looks like. So outright it is branded as SRL Diagnostics and Pharmacy, and you can see small part Doc24, because Doc24 is not a big brand. SRL is a brand, so it has a traction of bringing patients directly, and this SRL is not dependent on my own practice. Similarly, pharmacy is not dependent on my own practice, but anybody, it is directly oriented to community, and people come and buy medicines from here. And if you see, these are two shops, in the front at ground floor, high value commercial location. And on the left side is the front area is of SRL Diagnostic Collection Center. And on the right side is the pharmacy. which we are trying to organize for the last few months. And inside you see the chair, and inside there are 4 chambers for consultations, where one and another a lady gynae doctor, and then we have a space for physiotherapy. We are also having dietitians associated with us. This was all disrupted because of the 2 episodes, 2 sorts of pandemic. But anyhow, and this is on the glass of one of the doors of entry points of SRL. I've not branded it big because Doc24 is not a brand enough of identity. People associate with known names. So SRL and the pharmacy in itself, my thinking was that my income should not depend on my physical presence. So I'm of course practicing doctor, but my long-term thinking is that I should not depend on my physical practice long term, and my income should not be independent of my own presence. Service interface, home care, pre-hospital care, digital health, community services. Digital health is more of futuristic, but this is largely earlier what I discussed was brick and mortar model, but largely from the entrepreneurship perspective, I think it is the digital health, AI driven healthcare system, products and services that will transform systems. So we already have doctor on call 24/7 helpline, which is functional 24/7. It is IVR dependent. We have almost developed our Doc24 app, which initially I will be starting to use at my own clinic, and Doc24 home care, which will be extension through websites and all. And we will be trying to organize home care also digitally as well as physically. App is of course our digital innovation institute, standard community clinics and home care. And this is how we plan to do the quality improvement. EMR, we are generating all prescriptions on EMR. ISO and NABH's plan, clinical audits, training programs for employees. So we are, for all our functions, we are making training programs, research and publication. So whatever work we do, we will try to convert into credible work through research and publications. And we will work on customer feedback. So we'll have mechanism for this. My wife was also working earlier as a faculty at Amity University. Now she has resigned and joined as head operation of these clinics. So I'll just briefly skip through these headings. There are multiple functions when you are operating a company entity. Operations part has a multiple, clinic provides management has multiple things that you have to take care. Then SRL labs, if you're running a lab, then there are multiple things which are mentioned here. Time is not permitting to discuss all. Yeah. Then pharmacy, again, you have to maintain multiple things: purchase order, sales, GST, stock, inventory, documents, license, IT, fridge, internet promotions, and all. Legal compliances of the company, of whatever activity you do, financial compliances, all is required, and this is all part of the company that you run through. Digital and IT system, intranet, website, social media handles, software, apps, patient information center, SMS panel, all these things you require to run your business. Vendor relationship is very important because having an electrician to someone, a carpenter, to your pharmacy vendors, to your IT vendors, your all these are relationships that your growth depends on. So it is important to maintain these relationships and have the database so that you can have contact anyone if there is a problem anytime. Customer relationship management is very important for all, because lab, clinic, pharmacy, app, everything it's all dependent on customer relationship, which is partially in the case of clinic, it is patient relationship, and this has to be formally done. Human resource, employees, data, and their job duties, rosters, attendance, policy, leave, salary, incentive, birthday, anniversaries, and all is important. Finance and accounting is very, very important. Having a CA, banking, online transactions, payments, gateways, and auditing, monitoring, all this is very, very important. So brand management again, and it should be protected. You see my logo. I applied before I started my clinic. I applied for trademark for this brand name as well as my logo. It is protected now. I got last year trademark from the concerned department, and it is important to protect it, because later on if somebody else opens some same business in similar name, you cannot do anything. and this name in itself contains a lot of financial and value proposition. So this is all I'm trying to do at the moment, but always things are on move. So keep on thinking marketing, promoting strategy is important.
Thank you, Mr. Dr. Raman. Yeah.
It's almost finished now.
Thank
And
you.
digital
Yeah.
business communication is very, very important. A couple of other platforms I'm working. Nirog Times is an Hindi health portal. Chikitsa Times is English health portal, covering broad healthcare related news items. I'm working on these new projects. And then in long term, I've worked again this trademark for another project which is called Nalanda Gyan Kosh, so which is my social and my other thinking which I'm trying to work on. So, but I'm protecting and thinking in terms of business if I can create financial proposition value in that. So this is one of my clinics, and thank you. And I just tried to rush through my journey and emphasize on the roles we have. So at the moment, I consider myself a small business owner from the perspective of practice, because I run franchise, pharmacy, my own clinic, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Raman. That was amazing. And all I can say is you are a visionary. One is having set up the AFPI. Now, if you look into it, how many things you have done with your practice, amazing. Yes, it is intimidating for somebody who would just like to start, but don't worry, for all those who want to start practicing, Dr. Raman is there to guide you, and you can, Rome was not built in a day. Well, all this has taken time. Dr. Raman started in 2016, planning and registering his company, 2018. He launched the clinic. So it takes time. So give yourself, be patient and give time. And somehow 2018, I'm hearing not only Dr. Gowhar, Dr. Roshni, Dr. Raman, all have started their clinics in 2018. There must be some cosmic powers. I don't know. So with that, the floor is open to the questions. We'll get all the speakers and have the questions which you are waiting for. Yeah. And let me get the questions, because let's address the ones in the chat box first. And the first question is, how long should the rental agreement should be for? Anybody would like to answer this? Unmute your mic, the speakers. Dr. Roshni, would you like to answer that? You have recently...
Usually, yeah, it's for a year, and then they keep renewing it every year.
And what about you, Dr. Raman? Yeah,
sure.
I had experience when I started my first SRL franchise. I talked about a lease of 3 years, but the owner did not want it, and he said that I'll do it. But later he changed his mind and refused to extend, this thing. So I was confused. So I had to take another premise. I lost some money, but this time I took a lease of 9 years. Always beneficial to take long lease of 9 years, and always do a lease then rent agreement if you are working on lease, because lease is registered, it cannot be revoked even if property is sold. And lease you can end from your side, but owner cannot vacate you legally. But rent agreement, if it is running business and then suddenly your owner sells it and somebody else comes and want to sell biscuit in the same premise, then you are gone. You're all time, everything you lost, because you go to a new premise, it becomes difficult, challenging, new again. So always go for long lease, 9 years, 15 years. This is how most of the businesses work. It is little expensive in the beginning, but then.
Dr. Mohan, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Raman that if you have the option of going for lease, I think that is the best thing, because so that you can have a long-term agreement. But in most of the states, as far as I know, the rental agreements are generally given for only 11 months, renewable after 11 months. But for business purposes, there is an option of getting into a long-term rental agreement, 3 years, 5 years. Like I have rented one of my property to this thing and for a commercial purpose. So it is rented for about 5 years. So that options can be exercised. Although general trend is 11 months renewable.
So Dr. Kiran, would you like to say something on the lease?
When I started, sir, I kind of, the landlords were agreeing for 1 year, 11 months. However, I think there will be a bit of apprehension to kind of deposit a large amount if you're kind of leasing out for 4 or 5 years. And as clinicians, I think probably putting up a lot of amount only into the rent, I think that's a huge thing. So I think we need to think about the other micromanagement issues that goes up when you're setting up a practice. So that was a big budget. So I thought 1 year is reasonable enough. And then they kept extending the property.
I think now the other question which many people have asked at the time of registration is about the investment, because the first thing which worries people is how much money do I have to invest? Where will I get the money from? There are two different questions. And I think all of the speakers today are self-made people. I don't know whether they won a lottery or they inherited a lot of money. I don't know about that, but you can share your experiences. How did you invest and made the financial projections? Who would like to go first? Dr. Mohan?
Okay. As far as initial investment is, I have not invested much. I didn't go for a lease like Dr. Kiranmai rightly brought out. If you are starting from scratch, maybe I could have gone for lease, but I didn't have that exposure for starting my own business. So I thought probably let me try with just 1 or 2 years and see how it goes. So that's why I went with a rental agreement. So when you get into rental agreement, the investment is not much. It's only the few months security deposit on the rentals. So if you just including the rental deposit, that security deposit, if you have about 5 to 6 lakhs, probably is a reasonable amount to set up your own practice. I don't think I've invested more than 6 to 7 lakhs in my primary clinic. In the rest of the clinics, of course, already the infrastructure was existing, and I got into a kind of understanding of just sharing the rent with the owner. There again, the investment was less. So it depends on.
Thank you. Now, has anybody taken a loan from the bank?
I took a doctor's loan from Bajaj Finance. It was an overdraft kind of thing. So initially, when I was already working, hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So I started when I was already working. I was earning a salary of more than 2 lakh rupees when I started my clinic. And to start with, I did not start my clinic right away. I was sitting in a polyclinic in the community for 1 year or so. Then when I started a new clinic, before that I was sitting in Lal Path Lab, which was a premise of somebody else. So first I developed my own, community of practice of patients, and then, gradually ideas started coming, and I gradually took steps. My first rental was 25,000 rupees. I was paying much higher. My suggestion is to not take loans to start your practice. Just minor ones, but don't take loans. Start gradually, and when you have, proposition to expand, then you need money, not in the beginning. As a family physicians, we are blessed to start with, zero capital, not much money.
So anybody in the audience would like to say? Dr. Chandrasekhar, you raised your hand. Do you have an experience of loans? You can unmute your mic, Dr. Chandrasekhar.
Good evening. I am from Sri Lanka, Colombo,
Yes.
and learned a lot and from all your experience. I just want to ask 2 questions. One is, what's your experience about locum doctors, because all of us as family physicians have our own commitments. And when you have to be away from your clinic, what do you do? I mean, do you have locum doctors, and what is your experience? Has it been beneficial or it is detrimental? Because as far as I am concerned, it has been a real flop. Patients don't come to locum doctors, right?
Okay, so
That's
Dr.
one
Chandrasekhar,
question.
yeah, okay.
And the second question is about partnership, because most of our practices in Sri Lanka also are run by single owners, that is solo practices. Partnership like in UK and other places, what's your experience in India? I mean, do you all have such practices? And does the government have sort of a clause covering the principal doctor so that the relationship is healthy? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very important questions. So we'll open the first question is about locum doctors. Locum or part-time doctors, you want to use the maximize your space. I think all of you have got experience. So Dr. Kiranmai, do you have anybody else coming into your clinic?
Actually, I was thinking about that, sir. Next month I have a vacation plan. I was wondering how to do this. Wait for a week before I start. But actually, we have some colleagues, some of our AFPI members. We are looking into something covering each other during the time of absence. So I don't know how it works out. But I think it is a matter of trust between each doctor, and may not be the same practitioner. Maybe we are looking into different practitioners covering at different places, or whoever is close by, because it's very difficult for them to take a time out from their own practice and come and cover us for the time.
So, yeah, okay, maybe we might listen to Dr. Gowhar also. Dr. Gowhar, are you there? No. So we'll move over to maybe Dr. Roshni. You are looking a little bit bored, so you can tell us.
Right, yeah, Dr. Chandrasekhar, that's wonderful to have you from Sri Lanka, and we are really missing being there. So, yeah, very important and pertinent question. And yes, I would like to share my experience because I often have to travel, and my experience with locum doctors have not been too great, and because the trust between the patient and the doctor is not very well established. But at the same time, I would propose to have a second doctor on a revenue share model, and who has the typical different profiles. If I have to choose somebody who has a stable job, maybe certain doctors work in pharmaceutical companies, research companies, and then they want to do their own clinical practice. So that is a good idea, and I do have a doctor in my second clinic who is practicing with me. Very good skill set, DNB, MRCGP both, and she's doing well in my clinic. So I would rather have a different approach rather than having locum doctors. Thank you.
Over to you, Dr. Mohan. You want to add something?
Okay, so a locum doctor may not be a good idea, but what you can have in your clinic is, like Dr. Roshni said, that we have another doctor working in your clinic. Like in my second clinic also, I have another doctor who is from the same background. She's an AFPA member, and she's a family medicine qualified doctor. So just like Dr. Roshni said, it is on a profit sharing model. They come and consult, and they the advantage that they'll cover you for, and even the community knows that Dr. So-and-so is working in that particular period, and we work on the same principles, and so I think it's better to have another team member rather than having a locum doctor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohan. Dr. Raman, because Dr. Raman in his presentation did mention that you don't have to be physically present 24/7, 365 days in a year. You could be having revenue generating. So the clinic is making money, maintaining the cost, because the rents, electricity, staff, etc. You do have to pay whether you are there or not. So Dr. Raman, would you like to add something on this?
That is my idea of having a clinic where people have trust, where they can come, and then once you set up the processes, procedures, SOPs and all, even treatment protocols, because we know what patients are coming to us. We are not getting MIs, CVAs, kidney failures and organ damages and all. So we know what treatment 70% patients have for URTI kind, and then other common clinical problems you can have, and then you try to transfer it to other people. Like I have been working with one lady doctor who is with me, and we have a revenue sharing with her. And in my absence, she looks after all my patients, and additionally, she sees the female patients, gynae problems, and all. And the first question was something I wanted to respond. What was that?
That was the partnership. We'll come to that question. Just let's finish this about locum. So
Right.
what I would add to this is, even in Canada, what happens
And
is it's
I
not.
also get locum doctors when I'm absent. When I'm traveling for conferences, I hire locum doctors. I pay them 200 to 400 rupees per hour. There are several medical colleges, private ones are in surrounding areas. So I get PGs and who would come and cover for 12 hours in my clinic, something like that. I do that very frequently. They may not provide the same quality of care, but it is important to have your patients be covered.
Is the clinic traffic the same?
It may not be same, but you are at least providing, those patients who are not acute, they will wait for you. But those who want to, are in follow-up, they will at least come and see a doctor. And they will not be
Right. Okay.
satisfied that you are not available.
Yeah.
Now it has changed because of telemedicine. People can consult you on phone, video and all. But it is always good to have a backup doctor at your clinic in your absence.
Yeah. So Dr. Chandrasekhar, here in Canada, what they do is, not everybody has the wherewithal to start a clinic. The government pays the bills, but to start up, rent a place, hire staff, electronic medical records, and maintain all the rules and regulations. So what doctors say is they have doctors coming part-time and they are paid revenue sharing. So 30% they have to pay for the overhead cost, and 70% of their billing goes to them. So 70-30, so 30% they do. So that's a sort of a routine or a standard practice. It might vary differently. So you can have different ways, and you might find other ways, like Dr. Raman has found, getting residents to cover. The shutters should not be down, because that's one of the big fears of doctors. When, if I'm not there, what will happen to my patients? They'll go somewhere else. Now, with the advent of medical records, if you have EMRs, you have the database of all the patients in the name of your clinic. So you do have that strength. So good. So the next, I think we have addressed partnership. Is anybody into a partnership here, except for family members? I know Dr. Kiran has a partnership with her, lifelong partnership with her husband. Both of you are there in the same clinic.
Yes, sir.
So,
but he's practicing orthopedic spine surgeon, so I don't have any competition.
So
I think we need to discuss about group practice also. So see, we have seen some good models in Bangalore. We have seen the group practice models. So we want to emulate that, and I think this is one answer to your not having a locum doctor. If you have getting group practice, in fact, I just want to for the information of the audience here, that in AFPI in Karnataka, the AFPI Karnataka has started one clinic. It's called the AFPI Clinic, Family Medicine Practice Center. So we are thinking of making it into, already we have 2 doctors working in different timings. We want to make it as a group practice center where a number of the practicing doctors practice a different thing. We are hoping that this will be a successful model for people to emulate.
Yeah, I think somebody did ask the question in the registration form about group practice, and that's good. I don't know whether there are role models which are there, but again, I'll give you an example here. One of the group practices we have here in Canada is 150 doctors, but then you need to have a good management, people who look after the managing and finances, etc. But again, the management cost does not go beyond 30% or so. So 70% of your billing, you get it to yourself. And then again, the profits generated you are into a partnership. The revenues from investigations, etc., are shared. So that's something which needs to be worked on or looked into. So Dr. Kiran, you want to say something?
Yeah, just on partnership, sir. I have come from a partnership. I practiced in a partnership in UK. So the role, the model is more or less the same actually. 3 general practitioners, family physicians practicing together. We had a manager who used to manage the practice. So it was a wonderful practice. We were like a family actually, as such, the three of us. And whenever we were on leave, one of us took the vacation, our patients would be covered by the other practitioner. So it is easy to find. I think you need to find like-minded people for that to kind of run a successful partnership rather than kind of locums.
So
I have a question here regarding sharing of the investigations. Now, do you think when we share the investigations, there is going to be an ethical issue of people writing unnecessary tests, people, to earn more money? Is that something that we need to, I mean, has anybody faced this kind of a problem?
So maybe Dr. Raman, would you like to answer this?
That is the reason I open a registered pharmacy as well as lab franchise. And both these do not depend on my own practice. I do not encourage my patients or tell any of my patients to do tests from my own lab. Although I'm sitting in my lab, they may go to Lal Path lab or any private lab, any cheap lab, Tharocare, wherever they wish to. I do not tell them where to get tested. And 95% of the people who come to my lab and my pharmacy are other prescriptions, outside doctors. So there is no ethical concern for me. Recently, one doctor couple came to me and wanted to sit in my clinic. And first they asked me, and the next question was, how much share you will give from the medicines and lab. So I said, no, this is closed. We are not discussing anymore because we are not working on that model where we are, incentivizing any such practice. So I deliberately tell my patients, these are the tests, but let us see after 3 days. And I never emphasize on tests because large, community is in belief that we are unnecessarily writing tests. So that gives a bad impression of patients. Unless it is, acute appendicitis or, MI or something like that, I never, I'll use my clinical sense and charge my consultation. That's it.
Thank you. Dr. Mohan, would you like to add to this?
Yeah, so I have a different take on this. See, also the expectation of the community we are serving, so especially in the urban areas, that they want everything under one roof. The phlebotomy service, the pharmacy, all these things, they want an integrated service. They would like to, if they are coming to consult a doctor, if the doctor wants any test to be done, they would expect that it either has to be done in the same in the same center, or maybe a home sample collection may be arranged. So I don't think, see, you have to put an ethical boundary. It's totally personal actually. So as long as you are giving the service and you are taking the service charges, I don't think it is unethical. Like some of the labs, we have collaborated with some of the labs. So when we do the test in our clinic, it is the MRP is the same. Whether you go to the, in fact, it's beneficial to the patient that they are getting the same test done by an NABL accredited lab in your own clinic, which is next door. And for that service which we provide, like my phlebotomist goes and picks the sample, or he takes the sample, he does the, he preserves the sample and transports it. They give us some service charges. There's something called the corporate rate, corporate discounted rate. So I think most of the practitioners are using this model. I don't think this is unethical unless you are over prescribing the investigations. That is totally a personal thing. That ethical boundary you have to draw yourself. So,
true.
and,
What I wanted to highlight is definitely absolutely right. Yeah,
Okay.
that it is
So
under
let's-
one roof. But I was trying to highlight the point where you have other doctors and you're giving them a share from the lab. That is where there would be
no.
yeah, that is what I wanted to. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohan.
Thank you. So we still have quite a few questions, and we are already 1.5 hours into the session, and maybe we'll take 1 or 2 more. But this whole topic has got a lot of things to be addressed. So this is just a teaser session where you get some oriented. So Dr. Raghavendra has said, entrepreneurship in family medicine, what are the other avenues other than starting a clinic I think Dr. Raman has very well shown what all can be done. In this changing scenario where there are so many health tech startups eating away diagnostics, pharmacy and telemedicine, business, how can we sustain life with one's own clinic? Well, we have got role models sitting in front of us, Dr. Raghavendra, who have done it and who I'm sure they can vouch that don't be afraid of competition. In fact, that will bring out the best. Just go on being disruptive, innovative, start new facilities like Dr. Raman has thought of the future, doing research, this, that, everything, and he travels all the place. So things can be managed, but be patient with yourself. Rome was not built in a day, and go ahead. Okay. Dr. Mohan, can you throw some light on the other skills that a small clinic can include? I think we have addressed that. Is it not advisable to take a loan, raise equity to establish permanent infrastructure? Yes and no, depends on what interest and what are you looking at it. But as Dr. Roshni said, keep your overheads low. We have seen clinics going down because of they spend too much and ambitious. Okay, and then from my, yeah, go ahead.
Can I add one point regarding Dr. Raghavendra's question about health tech startups? So another thing, I think that day in our AFPI Karnataka meeting also we had this discussion about the data hacking. That is a big thing that we need to be, because we are using so many platforms and we have realized that yes, our patient data is being taken away and marketed in different places. So it is also important, as Dr. Raman has also pointed out, and he's already working on it, to have your own app or your own website and channelize accordingly, because that will pay you off in the long run instead of depending on these third parties. Because yes, we have had to resort to so many EMRs and things, but yes, we have seen the other side of the story too. So we'll have to be alert and yeah, thank you.
One thing which we have not addressed is in rural areas. See, we have spoken about Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, Jammu and Kashmir, but what about the rural areas? Can you do that? What happens? So maybe that we'll keep it for another session. One other question was how to get the most out of uncooperative employees working for you. So basically that is your staff skills. And many of the skills which have been discussed here are not taught in medical schools, unfortunately. See, entrepreneurship should be a course taught in medical schools. Atmanirbhar Bharat kaise hoga? So with that, anybody wants to talk about staff motivation?
So I just want to talk about this, how to get the most from the uncooperative staff. So in fact, if you involve your staff as in part of your, even in revenue generation, I think I did this in one of my clinic. So I hired a nurse and I trained her as a multitasking staff. She used to man the reception. She used to man the EMR. She used to be my phlebotomist. She used to go and collect the samples from home. She worked in 2 shifts. See, generally you pay some 8,000 rupees for about 6 hours shift. So she worked for 4 hours in each shift, and all her services were incentivized. So where you make about 8 to 10,000 rupees, she was making at the end of the month around 25,000 rupees by all these services, all these incentives. So when you give incentives, see, the staff gets this thing only when they see the business is doing well, but they're not paid much. So I think you make them part of your growth. Probably that is one way of probably keeping your staff happy.
Couldn't agree more, Dr. Mohan. Couldn't agree more. Absolutely correct. In fact, just 1 minute of my experience too. I had hired a lab technician, and now have trained her to become a full-fledged, nurse who's giving injections, vaccinations, going for home collections, doing dressings and everything, apart from her basic core skills, which is phlebotomy. So absolutely agree with that. And that's, and you incentivize it so they'll be motivated to work. And of course, train them, have small, short training programs for them to keep their skills, proper.
Okay. So 3 or 4 rapid fire questions, only one person will answer because one is up to Dr. Raman. Up to what age can we start becoming an entrepreneur? Is age a criteria?
There is no criteria. Immediately, wherever you are, whenever. I mean, you should start planning for your financial independence.
44 years.
So my answer would be yesterday. You should have become. So now exemplary case studies may be presented. I think these case studies which we have presented today, shared from different parts, it's not one person. These are the exemplary, and there are many more within family medicine in India. We couldn't bring them today. How to get funding for healthcare, as government is already providing free at PHC, CHC, etc. Government clinics are a boon for your practice, because the services they provide and what you provide, the choice is patients. So with that, I would like to thank one and all the speakers for this excellent interactive presentation, sticking to their time. And yes, Dr. Kiran.
Sir, Dr. Kamlesh, with all your permission, can I just make an announcement if that's okay?
Sure. Oh, most welcome.
We just would like to invite all the speakers and the panelists and everybody regarding the FMPC, the 5th National Conference. That's the upcoming conference that's going to be organized in our home city, Hyderabad, Telangana. So AFPI Telangana chapter is hosting the meeting, which is the next upcoming conference. So I would like everybody to actively participate and contribute. And I think I missed you asking in case about the entrepreneurship session. If it is going to be organized, yes, we would like to definitely love to have such a session. I'm sure there will be so many aspiring young family physicians who are a bit lost, not knowing what to do next after completing the DNB or MD. So yes, yes, sir. So definitely we would have that opportunity of you or anybody interested in conducting the session at the time. So that's in February 2022. And please take this as a personal invite for all the speakers and the attendees. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kiran. I'll just go around the speakers, starting from Dr. Roshni, then Dr. Mohan, and Dr. Raman, to give us the last pearls of wisdom. Dr. Roshni.
Right. I think I would like to thank one and all, and it was a wonderful session, a lot of learning, and I'm sure people who've joined the session would have benefited. As Dr. Kamlesh mentioned, it's just a teaser. There's lots in detail to learn, so we could have subsequent sessions. So be with us, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Dr. Mohan.
Yeah, it was an excellent session. It was a learning experience for me, at least. I think it's for all the panelists. Learned so much from the other panelists and from the questions they had posed. It was teasing us to learn more and adopt in our practice. So thank you so much, Dr. Kamlesh and team CPD for AFPI CPD for this opportunity. My only advice is what Dr. Raman has done. It has taken time and it's big. So what my advice to most of the people may not be in a position to start big. So start small and keep the option open for expanding. So as things go, so always start small and expand.
Thank you very much. So finally, Dr. Raman, you got the last word.
Thank you for this wonderful session. Organizing our CPD group has been always doing fabulous work. My advice to all, to be frank, we are not trained to be entrepreneurs or business people. And I can give you, I'm planning to write an article, what they do not teach in MBBS. So what we discussed today, they do not teach in MBBS. So we should understand our limitations, that we are not trained in accounting, trained in business management, trained in financial management, trained in financial education, and this all requires self-learning. So
Yes.
what you can see, what I have shown you is only fraction of what the books I have been reading. I mean, this all comes from self-learning from the books. I read a lot of business books on all leadership, management, business, accounting. I can give advice. What is, like I said, what is the difference between business and entrepreneurship? Unless you understand this, we can be, so don't start without educating yourself. I started my pharmacy. From Amazon, I bought 8-10 books on retail pharmacy. Whatever was available on Amazon, I bought it because I knew nothing about pharmacy retail. So once I learned it, I saw, they teach accounting to their, retail pharmacy in the diploma course. We never were taught accounting in MBBS course. How to start a community pharmacy. This is, you have to learn from books. So there is no replacement for books. If you want to start a business, learn about business from books also.
So thank you very much, Dr. Raman. And since you have read all the books and learned everything and you're doing an amazing job, now it's your turn to teach the rest of the family physicians in India. And we'll give you opportunities and make forums, whether it's in the conference, on the web, etc. So the quote which I always say is, a candle loses nothing by lighting up another candle. So you have a lot of burden on your shoulders to lead. So thank you very much, everybody, for this wonderful session. And in the end, I think, where is that? We go into our parting song. All we can say is, that's all over it.
যদি সবাই ফিরে যায়, যদি সবাই ফিরে যায়, ওরে ওরে ও অভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায়, যদি গহন পথে যাবার কালে কেউ ফিরে না চায়, যদি গহন পথে যাবার কালে কেউ ফিরে না চায়, তবে পথের কাঁটা ও তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে, ও তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে. There is no one responding to your call, you walk on all alone.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.